It sounds like the sexual harassment was just running rampant throughout the entire Fox News organization. Is that an accurate assumption?
I think it was pretty common, yeah. I was born in Illinois. My dad was getting his PhD at the University of Illinois. And then before I turned 1, we moved to Syracuse, New York. And it just so happened that a gal in my class was a journalist. She was a producer for the NBC O&O out in Chicago. I convinced this guy named Bill Lord to put me on the air 1 day a week on tape while I was still working at Jones Day.
If more than 825 students want into this year's prom, the school says they're going to be out of luck.
When did you become aware of all the other women?
I didn't want this person, just to be clear, to run human resources. I wasn't like, let's make a record, this is inappropriate. I was like, please help me.
How did it start with you?
I was very young. I was at the very beginning of my career there, still a reporter in DC. And Roger took an interest in me early on. It wasn't all because he wanted to sleep with me. I think he understood he had somebody who was a lawyer and that he really wanted to develop it because, above all, he was a capitalist. He wanted to make money. I knew from the second that thing was filed that if I got called in by any investigative body, he was f***ed. That was the goodness of the Me Too movement. But the movement was so disgusting by its end, so corrupted and unjust and devoid of due process and such a witch hunt.
Christine Blasey Ford was introduced. You could see the fear in that gulp in her shaking voice.
The details about that night that bring me here today are the ones I will never forget.
I don't like being associated with it. I've since become a big fan of cancel culture. It separates you from a place you didn't belong.
What did it feel like for you to sit down in front of Putin?
Great. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Did you?
Yeah.
Were you fearful at all?
Only in one moment.
Is this the end of mainstream media? Are we seeing its demise right now?
Yes. We're living in the end times. I've come to learn a lot of secrets of this place that I never wanted to know. I'm having way too much exposure to the executive suite. People who used to be rooting for me now find me threatening. You know, just that's what comes with money and power. And this isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. You saw what happened when CNN tried to launch its digital property. It closed within a month. Hundreds of millions of dollars closed within a month. Their ratings right now in primetime, they're pulling in 500,000. I mean, I know you dwarf that in your numbers, and I certainly do as well.
What do you think happens? I mean, does it just dissolve into nothing? TV's just done?
I don't want to see it go away altogether, and I do think it'll reinvent. As, you know, to steal a line from Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Who were some of the other interviews that you just really enjoyed or got something out of or are proud of?
The Wounded Warrior interviews that I did at Fox in particular, and now on my show. Their stories are just incredible. There's a level of advice, perspective, thought about our world, about our lives here, that you can't get anywhere else. I've yet to get it from anybody else. You and I are the mainstream. They're not. Is it mainstream to say open the borders? But yes, we're living through the end times for them, which is a glorious thing. We should be celebrating that. That's one of the few great things we have to think about right now in public life.
What do you think the final nail in the coffin will be?
If Trump wins again.
That'll be the end.
Yes, because they'll do the same thing they did the first time.
What was the conversation like with Trump when you went there?
Classic Trump. Funny. He hugged me. He'd been telling people to boycott the show for months. He said he watched it every night. But he could not have been nicer. And the last thing he said to me before I walked out of Trump Tower was, you know, Megyn, it's not such a good thing if they're not talking about us.